This is what the director of the FBI, Kash Patel, said, and I quote, "It's time for Americans to wake up and start prioritizing Israel." It's time for Americans to wake up and start prioritizing Israel. Not the United States, not the people here, Israel. Now, when Dan Bongino, the deputy director, was asked, "What moves you?" he said, and I quote, "Israel and the defense of Israel." Not the defense of the United States, mind you, no, but the defense of Israel. You see, everything with these monsters is theater, to always reactivate the currently expired victim card, because their victim card was voided.
More than half the states in the U.S. have a loyalty oath to the Israeli government, making it illegal to disparage or boycott them. In the U.S., inside of our Constitution, we have the First Amendment, which protects our freedom of speech. That allows for freedom of the press. It allows to peacefully protest. And within reason, we're able to share our feelings about our elected officials all the way up to our own president. And yet, we have laws in more than half the states in the U.S. that make it illegal to do that about the government of Israel? I want you to think about that for a second. In our country, they made it illegal in more than half the states to be critical of another country's government.
A teacher in Texas who's been there 9 years, who's said to be excellent at her job, she can't work anymore for the government of Texas because she's not willing to sign an employee contract that essentially says that she must not ever boycott Israel.
Behind me is an evacuation corridor that the IDF set up to enable the evacuation of civilians from the northern part of the Gaza Strip to the southern part of the Gaza Strip.
People in Gaza need to die.
Is that seriously what you think?
I am killed 2 people Palestinian.
I don't believe you did that.
I am in the army. Boom, 2 people.
We're making a maximum effort to try to safeguard Gaza's civilian population.
I don't care about Gaza. I literally don't care. For all I care, they can go out and swim in the sea. I want to see dead bodies of terrorists around Gaza.
Anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism. Period, full stop.
Anti-Zionism is the modern mutated form of anti-Semitism.
The high anti-Semitism now is anti-Zionism.
Investigates Israel for fake war crimes. This is pure anti-Semitism.
From the river to the sea is anti-Semitic.
Those calling for a ceasefire are legitimizing anti-Semitism.
A 1978 TV miniseries called Holocaust, featuring Meryl Streep, was watched by nearly 100 million Americans.
Israel has an overwhelming lobby over the United States government, and we have unconditionally supported them. We have fought their wars in the Middle East. Bibi Netanyahu came to our Congress in the 90s, told us a list of countries that we need to take out. Some were Syria, Iraq, Iran, Libya, etc. Through those wars, we have lost trillions of dollars. We have lost American servicemen.
We're lobbying everybody else, and they will...
No one's clapping. No one's clapping. Charlie was starting to notice about the Israel lobby.
Could I answer my question? Could I answer the question, please?
You're talking about one thing they don't teach in school? They don't teach about the USS Liberty, where Israel literally came, blew up an American ship because they want us to get in their war with Egypt, and they don't teach that in school. I mean, I'm just saying.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your question.
I have a question. Why is there this societal taboo around criticisms of Israel? For example, AIPAC doesn't have to register as a foreign lobby, but like the Australia lobby does.
Then came 1967. In the middle of the Six-Day War, the USS Liberty, a U.S. Navy intelligence ship, was stationed in international waters off the coast of Sinai. Survivors recall Israeli jets flying over the ship the day before, close enough that the pilots waved from the cockpits. A massive American flag was flying from her mast. To the men aboard, there was no question their identity was clear. But the next day, that same ship came under fire. Israeli jets strafed the deck with rockets and napalm. Torpedo boats closed in, blasting holes in the hull. By the time it was over, 34 Americans were dead and 171 were wounded. Israel claimed it was a case of mistaken identity, that the Liberty had been confused for an Egyptian vessel. Survivors say that story is impossible. The ships looked nothing alike, and the Liberty's flag was flying large enough to be seen from miles away. So why the attack? Some believe the Liberty was intercepting Israeli transmissions about its secret nuclear program. Others say it was silenced to cover up the killing of Egyptian prisoners of war. And still others argue it was a false flag, an attempt to sink the ship and frame Egypt, dragging the U.S. directly into the Six-Day War. We may never know the answer, but what we do know is this: American blood was spilled, and Washington buried the truth to preserve the alliance. Washington accepted Israel's apology, pocketed compensation payments, and moved on.
Kasparian's right in her video. The left and the right loathe Israel.
For any Israelis watching this right now, I want you to be clear. I want you to understand this, okay? The whole international community loathes you.
There was a poll that came out recently in America finding that just 14% of Americans under 30, so young people in America, say their sympathies lie with Israel and with the Israeli people. That is a very small percentage. You are losing young people across the political spectrum in America and across the world.
Young American citizens in this country, both left and right, loathe you.
Not only do we loathe them for committing a genocide, which we should be against genocides, but we loathe them for using our money, for infiltrating our political system, for buying off all of our politicians, blackmail campaigns that involve children, blowing up our Navy boats, having foreknowledge of 9/11 and not protecting us, not stopping the massacre of a bunch of Americans. You know, all of the things they've done to us. How is it not treason that many of our politicians have sided with Israel, are doing the bidding for Israel, when Israel's actually killed Americans with the USS Liberty, when Israel has bought off many of our politicians, but worse yet, blackmailed many others? That is treason.
September 11th, 2001. The darkest day in American memory. Nearly 3,000 lives were lost. As the towers burned, witnesses in New Jersey spotted something strange. 5 men filming the carnage and appearing to celebrate. Police pull over their white van, registered to a moving company. Inside were professional cameras, box cutters, thousands in cash, and multiple passports. The men, they were Israelis. The FBI held them for 71 days before quietly deporting them. No press conferences, no public explanation, just silence. Years later, on Israeli television, one of them, Oded Elner, admitted, "Our purpose was to document the event." But how did they know the towers would be attacked? With cameras ready, rolling before the world even understood what was happening. Who sent them? What exactly did they know? And why did Washington bury the story?
More than 250 women are raped every day in a country whose total population is less than 9 million people, making Israel officially the rape capital of the Middle East, with the Palestinians, of course, their biggest victim. The data tells a shocking story, with underage girls accounting for nearly 50% of reported sexual abuse cases, while 92% of rape investigations are closed without charges laid, and as 75% of convicted sex offenders are released from prison early. Zionism is to blame for this sickness, a depravity that has perverted every level of Israeli society, especially among the country's armed forces, as witnessed in Gaza for the past 8 months. While committing genocide and killing more than 10,000 women, Israeli soldiers have routinely dressed in the clothing of their female victims and then proudly shared the pictures with friends and family members on social media. Because for Zionists, this is totally normal and acceptable behavior. Here, 2 soldiers pose for the camera as they sit in the bed of a young girl they had killed earlier that same day, while their comrades rummage through the bedrooms of Palestinian women in search of their underwear and personal items.
בבקשה, דבר ראשון. ממצא ראשון. יפה. או-אה. ממצא שני. כל נפש, מחבלים ארורים. לבן, כמו שצריך. מחבלים ארורים. ממש, כותנה, כמו שצריך, מוכן. החבר'ה פה, כמו שאתם רואים, שבוזים מהממצאים. מה שהם מצאו. חבר'ה, תהיו רגועים. אל תדאגו, שומרים עליכם.
Zionists are so shameless about their sex crimes that Israeli soldiers taunt Arab girls on the internet, saying they will stop killing Palestinians if they undress for the camera.
I'll tell you what, if you show me I won't kill any more Palestinian kids.
You killed 25 kids, like you're proud of that?
If you love Palestinians, you'll show me.
The Israeli army has opened a criminal investigation inside of one of Israel's most notorious prisons, where a Palestinian man was said to have been essayed for approximately 15 minutes. The problem with the investigation? Well, they're not investigating the perpetrators. They're investigating the whistleblowers that delivered the video to newsrooms across the world. Prisoners that have had to endure time at this prison say that the guards do not punish people in order to reprimand them. Rather, they do it for joy. For the most moral army in the world, there certainly doesn't seem to be much humanity, does there?
Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year, it could be within a few months.
They have the wherewithal, the stored up, preserved knowledge to make a bomb very quickly if they wanted to do it.
Iran is so dangerous. Weeks away from having the fissile material for an entire arsenal of nuclear bombs.
They're very close. They're 6 months away from being about 90% of having the enriched uranium for an atom bomb.
Iran is gearing up to produce 25 bombs, atomic bombs a year, 250 bombs in a decade.
Ladies and gentlemen, time is running out.
Iran will be capable of producing alone, without importing anything, nuclear bombs within 3 to 5 years.
There aren't words to describe what happened on October 7th, other than the face of evil was revealed for the entire world to see. And we stand as one with you, with Israel.
The October...
Prime Minister of Israel shows so much disrespect towards the president of my country.
Oh, he never had any respect at all. Netanyahu here is mocking Bill Clinton, and he's mocking the American people for being essentially a bunch of grasshoppers, that he can do whatever he wants with us, including lie our fathers into sending their sons to die in his wars. In this video, he is no longer the prime minister. At a settler's house in the living room, he tells the boy, turn off the video camera. And the boy either fails to turn it off or he deliberately turns it right back on again. It's a bit unclear. But the video keeps rolling and Netanyahu keeps blabbing. And Netanyahu then ridicules us and says, let me tell you something about America, okay? America is a thing that is easily moved. 80% of them support us. It's absurd.
חושב להבטיח שהם אומרים משהו. אז אמרו, 80% מהאמריקאים תומכים בה. זה אבסורד.
I'm not afraid of Bill Clinton. Let me tell you what I did to Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton said, yada yada, Area C. I said, no problem, Bill. But then you know what I did? I made it where Area C is this huge military area, 2/3 of the West Bank. Ha ha ha.
לא פחדתי לתמודד שם. לא פחדתי להתאבד עם קלינטון.
ולכן, כל אחד מאיתנו, אם אתה אזרח, אם אתה חייל, אם אתה שוטר, אם אתה איש שב"כ ואיש מוסד, לא משנה מה אתה. אם אתה רואה אותם, יש לך איזה תירוץ חוקי הכי קטן שבעולם, גמור עליהם 2 מחסניות, לא אחת. אתה מציל חיים ככה. האמת, אני רוצה להציע להם, כן, כל אלה המחבלים שיראו את הסרטון הזה, שיברחו מפה על המטוס הראשון שהם יכולים. אל תישארו פה, כי אנחנו נרדוף אתכם, לא נשאיר בכם אחד חי. אחד לא יישאר חי. רוצחים עלו.
The biggest donor group that runs this administration is the Israeli lobby. It's not a secret. And Trump comes out and says Marian Adelson cares more about Israel than America. He said it all of the American people. He said it.
So I'm going to get her in trouble with this, but I actually asked her once. I said, so Miriam, I know you love Israel. What do you love more, the United States or Israel? She refused to answer. That might mean Israel, I must say.
He's not hiding it. He told you everything in his speech in Israel. He said it with a smile on his face. He told you the whole thing. He said the truth. I give him credit. He spoke the truth. He looked right at the American people with the Israeli flag behind him, and he said, there's all my big donors, and they care more about Israel than America.
Miss Machado, she's the lady that just won the Nobel Peace Prize, and she's from Venezuela. And she said, if we're liberated by the U.S. Armed Forces and they remove Maduro, our first act will be to move the Venezuelan embassy to Jerusalem.
What does that have to do with... I'm completely confused. Like, what?
Well, you can't be that confused. I think she's hit on something very important. She's figured out where the power lies. And she's playing to the audience that makes the decision.
The Knesset bill would strengthen an existing law that makes it a crime to give anything of value to persuade anyone to change their religion, and proselytizing to anyone under 18 years of age. The proposed law states anyone who persuades a person directly, digitally, by direct mail or online to convert his religion, his sentence is 1 year imprisonment. And if the person was a minor, his sentence is 2 years imprisonment. Israeli legal expert David Benjamin tells CBN News the scope of this effort seems extremely broad.
About as wide as you could possibly get, in fact, Chris. I mean, anything you say which might be in favor of a certain religion could be construed, I suppose, as being an attempt to solicit someone, right? Where do you draw the line?
Knesset members Moshe Gafni and Yaakov Asher from the United Torah Judaism Party, part of Prime Minister Netanyahu's coalition, proposed the legislation. An identical bill was proposed during the last Knesset, and similar bills have been proposed for more than 20 years. While the proposed law would apply to all religions, it specifically singles out Christians, stating, in recent times, the attempts of missionary bodies, mainly Christian ones, to persuade people to convert have increased. Sometimes these attempts do not involve the promise of money or material favors, and therefore are not prohibited according to the existing law. But their many negative consequences, including mental damage, require the intervention of the legislature. While the proposed law would apply to all religions, it specifically singles out Christians.
Hello, good people. It's Rob Lee. It is November the 5th of 2025. As we do this, and it's amazing to me, before we get started talking about the Jewish synagogue of Satan, that people cannot look at Sean Hannity and see him for what he is, completely 100% evil. And people cannot look at this guy, this is Pat Robertson's son, Gordon Robertson, people cannot see him for what he is, completely evil. And the Jewish synagogue of Satan owns both of these devils. These are called proselytes. So let me give you the words of a former Mossad agent on CBS's 60 Minutes who said this, and I quote, "We create a pretend world. We are a production company. We write the screenplay. We're the directors. We're the producers. We're the actors. The world is our stage." Now, before we go further, let me tell you some other words that are the greatest ever. Let me give you the words of Jesus. John 17:14, "I have given them thy word, and the world hated them. The world hath hated them because they are not of the world, even as I am not of the world." So he tells you this is their world. They manipulate it, always to deceive. And Jesus says he and his family, we ain't a part of it. In fact, we're hated. Further, 1 John 4:5, "They are of the world, therefore they speak of the world, and the world heareth them." This is why people hear Sean Hannity. This is why people hear CBN, TBN, CNN, ABC, the ESPN, the podcaster. This is why they hear those that are of the lie, because they all serve the Jewish synagogue of Satan. They deal in theater, illusion, and propaganda. They understand that the public responds not to facts, mind you. They don't respond to truth. They live the lie. Therefore, they respond to symbols, names, staged realities, you see, an alternative reality. You see, the opposite of the Father, the opposite of Jesus, the antithesis, the complete opposite. The Jewish synagogue of Satan owns the entire media apparatus, all of it, and it shields Israeli institutions from any kind of scrutiny. They hide behind their lies and they accuse others of what they are. This is why they're always talking about anti-Semitism. You see, they could murder, and they have, and then they will say, but look, you're anti-Semite, and supposedly this is supposed to just, well, now you can't say anything to them, nothing. You have to just leave it alone, even though they're not a Semitic people. Benjamin Netanyahu's name is Benjamin Malachowski. He comes from Poland. He's not of the tribe of Judah. He's not of the tribe of Israel. He's an imposter. Jesus told us this, but it matters not, because there are people that are going to believe it till the very end, and there have people that have already believed it till the very end. Evil people. That's what they are. Always the victims. It's never their fault. Offended by everything and ashamed of nothing. They are less than 0.5% of the population, but they are 99% of the problem. Remember, Jesus said they are responsible for all the righteous blood that has ever been shed. Matthew 23:34 through 37. So when the Son of God, who sits at the right hand of God, says, "I blame you for it all," I want you to, as we talk about, remember the words illusion and theater that we just spoke of, because that's what they do. It's to stop all dissent inside once white Western nations against false Israel. They know who they are. They're not the chosen people. They're the condemned people, pretending to be the chosen people. This is Kash Patel. I want you to take a look at these two men. This is Kash Patel, the director of the FBI, and this is Dan Bongino, the deputy director of the FBI. These are Trump selections. No experience, doesn't matter. Both of them were former podcasters, MAGA podcasters on BitChute, Rumble, X, YouTube, whatever. That's what they were. But let me quote you what they said. Let me show you who they truly are. Just a couple of low-level shills that the devil's children have stuck in a high place because they know they'll serve them well. This is what the director of the FBI, Kash Patel, said, and I quote, "It's time for Americans to wake up and start prioritizing Israel." It's time for Americans to wake up and start prioritizing Israel. Not the United States, not the people here, Israel. Now, when Dan Bongino, the deputy director, was asked, "What moves you?" he said, and I quote, Israel and the defense of Israel. Not the defense of the United States, mind you, no, but the defense of Israel. You see, everything with these monsters is theater, to always reactivate the currently expired victim card, because their victim card was voided. People have woke up. People don't care anymore about your victim status, your false victim status. They simply don't care. You know, there was a reason that the Israeli flag last summer at the Republican National Convention, there was a big placard there saying, and it was hanging big, and it said, Israel first. At the Republican National Convention with all these MAGA people, Israel first. Not the United States, Israel. Let me read you some of the greatest words ever, because that's what they are. They are the greatest before we go further. Jesus says this in Matthew 24:35, and everything I'm reading to you is incredibly relevant to what we're going to learn today. Matthew 24:35, heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away. His words, the words of Jesus, and who did Jesus come to do the will of? The Father. My words ain't going nowhere. That's what he's saying. Proverbs 30, verse 5, every word of God is pure. He is a shield unto them that put their trust in him. Last one, Proverbs 25:26, a righteous man falling down before the wicked is as a troubled fountain and a corrupt spring. A corrupt spring, corrupt water, dirty water. I told you before, that's what they are. They drink dirty, they drink the sewage water. They drink it. They don't drink the water that is pure and clean of Jesus. They drink sewage water. And then they ask for more. Can you give me some more? There are verses that expose the Jewish synagogue of Satan all throughout the scriptures. And I have made countless videos about it. However, there's a couple that just get overlooked. And we're going to talk about it today. So I want you to get comfortable. And let's learn and let's praise our Father in Jesus' name and see the enemy for what it is when others see them as God's chosen. And even people that are anti the Israel and the synagogue of Satan, I'm glad they are, because it's your Father's will that people have woke up to him, but it doesn't make them followers of Jesus Christ. So therefore, you might as well join them. You might as well join them. The people called Jews, the synagogue of Satan, do not use the Holy Bible. Okay, this must be said. They know the Bible condemns them. No, Jews have their book in a pile of filth called the Jewish Talmud that originated in Babylon. It was called the Babylonian Talmud. Now, I will not repeat anything of what's in it. Some of you already know some of what's in it. It is completely evil and disgusting, and it's on par for a race that Jesus called, you are the children of the devil. However, Ma and Pa churchgoer with the American flag and sometimes even the devil's flag on their house, they're still going to go into church on Sunday, Wednesday, Thursday, and they're going to give some money now to the state of Israel. They're going to raise their hands, they're going to close their eyes, and they're going to go broke, believing the Jews are the chosen one of the one true Father in heaven. The Jewish state of Israel cannot be pleased. It does not matter if you gave the state of Israel the entire world, they would complain and still say, everybody's against us. You see, even when everybody was formed, all they could ever say was, everybody's against us. The synagogue of Satan makes demands, and even if every demand were met, they would still want more and say, everybody's against us. Because they have to be the victim. Because that's what evil is, and that's what evil does. You know, the last 75 years of bread and circuses, nonsense, entertainment / sports, and full immersion and indoctrination on every front has dumbed down most people completely. Completely. Because they don't have a spirit of the Almighty Father. Romans 14. There's zero independent thought left because we live in a world where almost all people are without a spirit from the Father. See Romans 8:14. You have to have a spirit to be led. Father says, my children are led by my spirit. Now the lie has become the pillar. It's the industry. It's the pillar. I mean, it is what makes this nation. It's one big lie. Most Americans really believe, because they've been taught through school and the internet and Hollywood, that cavemen used to ride around on the backs of dinosaurs. And that we walked out of Africa, that we, as white people, as Israelites, we evolved from black people. Or that we evolved from monkeys, or that we evolved from sludge. And that there's vast space and there's universes, and they believe this. Many people of another generation also believe that the devil's children are God's chosen. Now these people, the Jewish synagogue of Satan, are on borrowed time. And I ask you, just 3 or 4 years ago, 5 years ago, those of you who have known the truth for a while, did you think you would see so many people turning against them? No. And even though the majority of those turning against them are not the followers of Jesus, it's still your Father's will being done. Because what's it going to do? It's going to move these people to become more and more desperate. That's what's happening now. Israel, the state of Israel, the Jewish synagogue of Satan, is a welfare state, funded by the American taxpayer. They have no industry. They don't grow anything. They don't do anything. They take from us. They take from Americans. They take from people in the UK, from Germany. They take from those people. That's how they survive. However, through thievery, deception, and traitors on the inside of the false state of Israel, they have manipulated and took control over everything in the U.S. All infrastructure, all of it, from healthcare, which is by far the most corrupt, big pharma, the internet, big tech, Hollywood, the entire media complex, the U.S. intelligence agencies, which are all nothing but fingers of the Israeli Mossad. Folks, that's what the CIA is. It's just an extension of the Israeli Mossad. That's why JFK was killed, because he took on Dimona. He didn't want them to have any kind of nuclear weapons, and he also told them, your control of the Fed has to stop. They control the government, Congress. Politicians are owned by them. They will do anything they are told. The Senate, the military-industrial complex, has been fighting wars for the state of Israel for 75 years. Every Fortune 500 company, when you buy a product, man, you're not buying a product, you're buying a name. Levi Strauss, the name of a man. Pillsbury, the name of a man. DuPont, all these people, they're the names of the synagogue of Satan. So they put their ID on your ass and say, here, buy it. You're not buying a product, you're buying a name. The name of the devil's children. And then people scream, look at what I've got. Look at what I've got. I've got me a really nice product. You've got a name of the devil's children plastered across your backside, man. The Supreme Court, owned. The president, been owned. Education, owned and been corrupted. They write their textbooks. Insurance, real estate, the food industry, poisoned. And some would say, well, why would they want to do that? It's amazing that we live in this time that so many people cannot understand who's who. Because if they could understand Father's word, they would understand there's Father's family, there's the devil's family. But they don't. And the reason being, your Father don't want them to understand. They try to poison everything because that's who they are, and they hate you. They know they are condemned. They're not the Father's children, and they know it. The power grid, electricity, the music industry, oil production, every part of the economy, and especially banking, money. Spyware, backdoors inside everything, and all made and owned and operated by false Israel. You know, I want to go back to the poisons for a minute. Poisons in everything. Underline everything. The merchants of Babylon, which are spoken of in the scriptures, poison everything. But people are waking up to these people who control all these things. They're waking up to it. And like I said, it will only make these people more and more desperate as we start to see the great tribulation, unlike what people have been telling you about. You're starting to see it now. You're starting to see, just like we told you a couple of years ago, wave after wave after wave, and it's going to start to get worse and worse and worse and worse. But speaking of control, so people are waking up to who controls all this, but who owns this? Who owns that? Let me tell you something about owning and control. And you remember this in this last stretch of road. Here is what they do not control or own. They do not control or own the Almighty Father, whose name is Jehovah. And if you say his name is not Jehovah, I challenge you. Open up the 1611 King James Bible and show me where it says his name is any other name but Jehovah. You can't. But you can go watch a video on BitChute or Rumple, and it'll give you 500 names, but you can't open up the Bible and do it. And his glorious son, Jesus, that has all power. You see, the Father and Son run everything. And the evil of this world they had an hour left. They had a half an hour. They had 15 minutes. They're down to about 5 minutes. The last stretch of highway for you. That's who owns it all. That's who controls it all. The Father and Jesus. Now, these people are not loved by your Father, contrary to what these evil devils in church preach and teach. They are condemned. But what they do have right now is your Father's will being done. Your Father loves us. They're not his chosen. They are his condemned. They are the offspring of the devil. Genesis 3:14 and 3:15. And they'll never preach it in church when the Almighty Father tells us there's a seed of the serpent and then there's my seed, my family. This is the end times, the last days, and your Father's will is being done. And the only help that you will ever get is from your Father and your beautiful Savior and your best friend Jesus. Do you believe the devil's children are going to help you? Trump, UFOs, BLM, liberals, Sean Hannity, Alex Jones, are they going to feed you, clothe you, keep you warm, give you strength, give you peace? Did they get up on the cross and die for you? And yet you got evil and insane people who follow these monsters while denying Jesus, You see, it doesn't matter if you're anti-Israel and anti-evil. Good for you. If you ain't pro-Jesus, it don't matter. If you don't have a love affair with Jesus, you might as well take your ass and go and join them because you're a part of them. I know there's going to be somebody, you shouldn't be saying the word ass. I mean, you shouldn't be doing it. Man, how about you get off of yours and do some work and then you can tell me about it. The chickens are coming home to roost in this nation and this earth. False Israel will be destroyed along with the United States. Folks, what you have is the greatest liars in the history of mankind. You know, when Jesus called them out in John 8:44, he told them, you're the children of the devil. Your father, he's the father of the lie. The first lie in the Bible was told by the serpent. That's why he's called the father of the lie. He's the originator of the lie. What do you think his children are going to do? But anything but lie. That's what they do, lie. They're proselytes, follow, lie. And we have reached the top, the pinnacle of the lie. Only the elect see them for what they truly are. Now, I know there's many young folk that are waking up and seeing them and saying, hey, but they don't see them for what they are from the Father's eyes, through the eyes of Jesus. They're the children of the devil, the literal offspring of the serpent. They are pretending to be a people they are not, and only a small amount of delusional people believe that this is our Almighty Father's chosen. This is his elect. Those people. They have created this illusion of lies because this is what they do. Like I said, they are natural born liars. See Psalm 58:3. Natural born liars. I've made many videos, as I said earlier, showing our people that the holy word of our Father condemns and exposes these people from Genesis chapter 3 to Revelation 2 and 3, all the way to the end in Revelation chapter 22, the entire Bible. And we've shown so many other verses of this is who they truly are. For example, one that doesn't get talked about much. John 10:26 and 27, where Jesus talked to the Jews. He says, you're not my sheep. Just omit it. But there's a couple that people don't talk about. There's a couple that get overlooked, and to me it's so huge that we're going to talk about it here today. The Bible exposes them as frauds, and their whores known as churches and pimps known as preachers. And they will not preach the holy word. Oh, they'll take a verse every now and then, and they'll preach this and they'll say this, but they will not preach the word in what's called doctrine. You see, when Jesus said my doctrine, what he meant was the completeness and the fullness thereof. It means you can't take my words, Jesus says, which is the words of the Father. You can't take a verse here and a verse there and make your own doctrine. You got to read all my words. That's what he says about my doctrine. I will not argue with any person any longer in my life who falsely believes the holy word is either corrupt, lost, or incomplete. when they are corrupt, lost, and incomplete them damn selves. It's amazing to see people that can't manage their own lives tell the Almighty Father that who has did it all and has more power than their poor little minds can even begin to understand, to tell him your holy word's wrong. Well, how do you know? I watched a video on BitChute. I read an article. It's just amazing. You see, either the Father's word has place in you or it does not. Does this have place in you? Lamentations 3:22. This is your Father's love and tender mercies. Does it have place in you? It is of the Lord's mercies that we are not consumed, because his compassions fail not. They are new every morning. Great is thy faithfulness. His faithfulness to us. Not our faithfulness to him, but his love and faithfulness to you and me. His compassions fail not. His mercies, his love for you and me. If that don't have no place in you, you ain't a part of it. But we're going to go deeper. There are times during our life that we are going to encounter many types of people. Evil people. Many of them pure evil. And their sole purpose in this life is to hinder your walk because they're pure evil. They want to make your journey and your walk to your Father in Jesus as hard and almost impossible. They want you to fail. And you have a choice to ignore, avoid, and refute these hideous creatures. Now, these evil beings wear masks, and many times it's a struggle until you can pull the mask off, because the Father will give you the ability to pull the mask off when Jesus puts his hand on your shoulder and says, son, daughter, see them for what they are now. Look at them now. Now you see them. What do you see? I see the children of the devil, Father. Jesus, I see the seed of the serpent. Exactly right. The one thing that all these people, as I said earlier, have in common is they are natural born liars. Jesus said you'll know them by their fruit. See, when you have a tree, when you are the branch of Jesus, you don't lie. You don't lie. Most everything in this corrupt nation is for sale. Judges are bought, politicians are bought, cops, preachers, and so many more are bought and paid for by American money. See, the state of Israel steals from the American people and then takes that money and buys the corrupt people called proselytes of the devil. See Matthew 23:15, when Jesus said, he's talking to the Jews and he tells them, you will encompass the whole earth. You'll sail the seas, you'll climb mountains, you'll traverse the earth to make proselytes. And then he says, when you do, you make them twofold more the child of hell than you are. And that's what we have now. See, not only do we have the devil's children, we got billions of proselytes. And many, still in complete ignorance, call them, that's God's chosen. But let me show you just a couple verses, and you're going to really see it, you're going to see it in a different light, I promise. And the worst of the worst in the United States is the American church. And it doesn't matter what flavor or what brand or flag of Protestantism, the Protestant church, and they have like 1,000 different offshoots, or the Catholic. It doesn't matter, man. For they all serve the devil and his children. They're all proselytes. Because all of them will defend the synagogue of Satan as being the Father's chosen people. Jesus is not first. The Jewish state of Israel is first. The Jewish synagogue of Satan is first. Therefore, it's a false religion. It's not of the Father. It's not of Jesus. The word church means to be separated. To be separated from what? This world. We just got through talking about earlier in the first part of this, the world. They're of this world. They love this world. The older white defenders of the devil's children have been watching so-called Christian TV for 40 to 50 years, going back to the 70s. Then as cable started to come around, they started to watch more and more, and then the internet. And then TBN, CBN, they had TNN, all these biblical names, Daystar Network, such evil, filth, and trash from these satanic pastors. And they would feed them lie after lie after lie after lie. And these folks would watch and watch and watch and then give money. and they make the Sunday journey to their satanic cathedral known as church, and they have heard for decades, Jews are God's chosen people, and Israel must be blessed or they'll be in trouble. And they'll take one verse out of context, one where it's talking about a man named Abraham. Abraham. Nothing to do with the Jewish synagogue of Satan. And never mind that the Holy Word says, here, there, here, more. You're the children of the devil. See, that has to be ignored. Again, the proselytes are just as bad, or as Jesus says, they're even worse. You're twofold more the child of hell than these monsters are. And the devils behind the pulpits and the TV and internet can take one or two verses and they will create a doctrine right from hell, and the people will love it and follow it. They will defend these monsters with everything they have. The people give money they don't even have, they give it to them. Jesus said to these people, you go back all the way back to Cain in the garden, meaning you're of the devil. And if that ain't good enough, he directly in John 8:44 told him, you're of the devil. In John 8:38, he tells him, you do what you have seen with your father. I do that which I have seen with my father. Man, there's verse after verse after verse after verse. But I'm going to show you two that I bet you haven't really thought about. You see, it won't matter to Ma and Pa churchgoer. They've lived this life for so long, they wouldn't know the truth if they tripped over it. And that truth is Jesus. That is the way, truth, and the life. And no man cometh unto the Father but by me. That's what Jesus said. John 14:6. He is the truth. He is the only truth. Now, if one really believed in the Father, then surely they would believe and trust his words, right? No, that's not true. If Jesus calls a people the children of the devil, that would be what? 100% truth. So could you, as his children, would you think, could you expect the children of the devil to do anything but evil and lie? But what do you expect from their proselytes? The same thing. Let me ask you, I want to ask you, you read something with me and I want you to think about what you're getting ready to read here. And as we read it, really take it in, because there's more to it. And maybe you can read it on your own. But let me show you two verses that don't get talked about. Read with me, brethren. We're going to go to Matthew, and we've read this before, but most people don't really understand how big it is what Jesus is really saying to these people called false Jews. Because you ain't of Judah, and you ain't of Israel. You ain't. So, Matthew 13, verses 10 and 11. And what Jesus is doing here, he's speaking in parables. In parables. And the disciples came and said to him, Why speakest thou unto them, the Jews, in parables? Listen to his answer. Number 11, Jesus answered and said unto them, Because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. Let me say it again for you. Jesus answered and said unto his people, his real people, because it's given to you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it's not given. So here's Jesus telling them, my word, which is the Father's word, has no place in you because you ain't a part of it. You're not a part of it. How incredibly powerful is that? He's telling them, I speak in parables because I don't want them to understand. Jesus is telling them, I don't want them to understand what I'm teaching because they're not of me. My Father did not plant them. Maybe it's because Jesus called them, you're the children of the devil. You're the seed of the serpent. So why would Jesus be preaching to the seed of the devil? But remember, the Israelites had mingled their seed amongst these people. They had mingled their seed together. Let me read you a couple more verses, and I want you to think about, let's follow up on that. Now, if you want to read the rest of that, it's called the wheat and the tares, but knowing that, go back and read, go down and read from verse 28 to like 43, when Jesus tells you about the seed of the serpent, what they tried to do to corrupt his seed. They tried to mingle, they tried to They've tried to always, with Father's people, the Israelites, the fake Israelites would always try to be among them and take over their identity. You see, this is why your flesh doesn't mean anything. It's your spirit that matters, man. Your spirit. Do you have a spirit of the Almighty Father, or do you not? John 14:23 and 24. Jesus answered and said unto him, if a man love me, he will keep my words. See, he's saying, if you love me, you'll keep my words. But people don't what? They don't care about his words. They have rejected his words. Because many people say, his words offend me. As if I give two shits if it offends you. I hope it does offend you, because I don't like you people. You know, people say, you know, Rob, man, you're too hard on people. I think what it really is that you don't love Jesus the way I do. You see, because you're a soft ass, you want to look at Jesus as well and say, I got a little bit of love for you. And then for me, I lay at his feet and say, you're all I have. You're my everything. So when somebody wants to talk about Jesus, I would just soon tell you, pick up your weapon, and me and you going to settle business. See, that's how I feel about Jesus. That's how I feel about my Father. So Jesus answered and said unto him, if a man love me, he'll keep my words. And my Father will love him, and we will come unto him and make their abode with him. It means they'll live in us. How? Spirit. He that loveth me not, keepeth not my sayings. And the word which you hear, it's not mine, but the Father which sent me. Now look around. These people called the synagogue of Satan have no place in it. And look at all the people that have joined themselves to him, all the people that have rejected the words of Jesus. They're not a part of it either. If it's not 100% Jesus, it's not for me, and it never will be. My goodness, folks, we see the fruits of a nation and a people that said we don't want Jesus. And you see the results of the glorious and precious gift that our Father gave us in Jesus. When you walk away from Jesus, everything, you're done. You and me will give it all to Jesus 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It doesn't matter what it is, we give it all to him. Your every thought, your need for help in all things. And keep your eye on the lighthouse. Stay away from those vessels that are not of our people. Remember, I tell you this all the time because Father has me tell you. Avoid these people. Keep it to a high and a by. Gotta go. Yeah, the weather's hot. Yeah, the weather's cold. Gotta go. If somebody mentions Jesus, simply tell them, I love him, and go on about your business. Don't engage these people in any kind of talk. We're not supposed to do it. We're supposed to stay away from them. Your help, yesterday, today, and now, and tomorrow, and forever, has always been your Father. And he said, go through my Son. Pray to your Father for all the help that you need, and you do everything, brethren, everything. I don't care what it is, everything. In Jesus' name. The name of Jesus should come out of your mouth daily. Many times, Jesus. Even if you just, Jesus, I love you, Jesus, because there ain't nothing greater than Jesus. You pray, you go to your Father, you go in quiet and private and pray, and you talk as long as you choose, as long as you need, and you ask for anything that you believe that you need. You trust them and love them and hold on to them as we see this world destroyed, and we're going to see it get far, far worse, just like we told you, but I don't take credit for it. Father told me 2 years ago, start telling them it's going to happen. And people are like, no, I don't see it happening. Yes, you will. Yes, you will. You're starting to see it more and more now. You see, our Father's word, his will, is not slow. It's certain and sure. It will happen. If it seems like it's going slow, it's not for their benefit, brethren. It's for yours, for mine. Because if it happened all today, right now, there would be many that would say, Father, I'm not ready. See, your Father knows his children. We got to get ready. Thank you for being here with us today in the name that is above all names, and there ain't but one. His name is Jesus. In Jesus' name, our love to you all. Amen.